You guys know I love to read, and I sometimes share in some episodes what I'm currently reading. Every now and then, I challenge myself to read something outside of my usual genre, and that book for me now is House of Rain by Harley LaRue. It's a gothic romance novel that follows Salem, who ends up stranded on a remote island instead of going on her honeymoon. There she meets the mysterious Rain, whose family manor is filled with unsettling secrets. Then people start dying, something begins stalking the forest at night, and what starts as a forbidding attraction turns into a fight for survival. With the isolated island, gothic mansions, and the creeping sense that something terrible is always just out of sight, I was intrigued and creeped out. If you're a fan of supernatural suspense and dark romance with an unforgettable atmosphere, check out House of Rain by Harley LaRue, now available wherever books are sold in print and in ebook.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tane Talks. I am your host, Tane, here with the final episode of the last drop of Married at First Sight, Season 20, Episode 9. Today, my guest is a friend of the pod. She loves maths. She always takes her notes diligently and always is up for a discussion about maths. And my guest today is Dani. Hi, Dani. How are you?
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Are you ready to talk about this session, this group therapy that we've kind of had it on MAFS before, but this is like the official new format, new season group therapy. How did you feel about it?
I don't know, because I mean, I know the group stuff always is kind of the demise of the relationships, but I kind of enjoy it to an extent.
Yeah.
My frustration with this episode or this even batch in general was that I felt like we got a lot of them telling us what happened rather than showing us. There were things I wish we
Mm,
could have seen for ourselves.
mm.
But
That's a good point. And I think this is part of the process for us that have been watching maps, especially from the lifetime coming over here, is we just have to shed ourselves of the notions of what was before. And a lot of this is, since it's condensed, is going to be a lot of telling and filling in the gaps than them showing us, you know,
this
the
is
things
true.
that
Yeah.
happened. So I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like it felt like something that we shouldn't be a part of, which is so weird from someone who covers couples therapy. But for some reason, it just felt so intimate and private. And we'll get there. I think especially when it came to Beljolie and Mecca's and Marissa's, when they start talking about all these private things, I'm like, if you're telling the experts, I understand. But when you're telling the whole group and everyone's involved, I felt a little like, should I be listening to this? You know?
Yeah, and they had like stuff like insinuating sexual trauma and things. And
Yeah.
yeah, that felt very vulnerable to be in a group period, let alone on TV.
Yeah. So and that's the I think that's the argument is like, yeah, after telling the experts, it's going to be on TV anyways, but I'm like, they say they forget the camera, so we'll see. But before we get into and start the episode, just a reminder to you guys, patreon.com/Tain Talks. You can get ad-free episodes, you can get video episodes, and you can get the episodes earlier before they drop on there. And I'm still running a special for the entirety of MAF streaming, 50% off your first month, and you can get it as a gift for a friend. You can just support the pod, and you can just be a free member. And if you're a free member, we're over there and we are chatting in the chats about maths and just putting all our gripes out there, before we listen to the episode out there. All right, we start the episode with Beljali and Mecca, and he's taking her to his workplace. And I gotta say, that's bonding, all right. Like, for those who forgot,
Right in the deep end.
seriously, he's a sanitation worker, and he's not joking. He's actually like draining the potties. And I don't think I could watch. Like, I couldn't. I just had to turn away
I
because it was a
didn't till I
lot.
went back to take notes, I have to admit. Yeah.
So he makes a joke to
Um,
her to add sanitation worker as role playing ideas in the bedroom. I'm like, okay. Because if you just to refresh everyone, the last that we saw was him kind of seducing her, lighting candles, saying he's taking off his robe. And because it's Beljali and Mecca, I didn't want to assume that, they actually had sex. I'm like, it could go either way. I don't know which it is. But when he started making jokes about the role playing, I'm like, okay, it seems like they had sex. At this point, before they confirmed it, did you think they had had sex or not?
I actually didn't think about it that hard. It's because I just don't know what to make of Mecca. Like, I can't tell if he's protecting himself or if he's genuinely not that into her that way. So I guess I
Yeah.
didn't really think he had, but maybe.
Yeah, I think after he said the role playing, I was like, okay, thank God. I think, they have finally had sex. And I just want to add as a side note that I just think Belle Jolie is such a pretty girl. Like, she just, she didn't have any makeup on. She just had her hair back, just thrown back, and you're just going on a ride. And her dimples, her everything, her smile. Like, I just think she's so pretty, you know?
Yeah. They were my favorite couple originally. I think I got a little nervous after the little disconnect they had about their levels of attraction, but I mean,
Yes.
even the porta potty thing, I think that just shows real work ethic. He's not just like, oh, I just want to be Instagram star and make easy
Yeah.
money. He's willing to have a job.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. On one hand, I wanted to say, like, he still feels embarrassed about his job because he kept saying it's not a glamorous job, like, it's not really the best thing. But he does say it is a family business. Like, he's grateful to be giving employment. And she does reassure him, which is what she does, and says that she doesn't care about that. And he has depth, and this just adds on to who he is. And now, at first glance, this is a good trait. Like, he has someone that supports him, but I don't want their relationship to just be a lot of her reassuring him, because we know he needs a lot of reassurance. And it's unclear to me what this is at this point, whether it's support as a wife, as it should be, or if it's like a forewarning of what it's going to be in the future, where it's going to be a lot of reassuring him because he feels, a little low or down on himself.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying about how I can't quite make up their sexual chemistry. Like, is he just insecure or is he not attracted to her? And you're right. I'm worried. Like, they seem to have a good relationship, but is he really there, or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, is she having to convince him?
That she's a good woman, so you should like her and stuff. um I noticed that they dapped each other. They gave each other a fist bump. You guys know I don't like that, but I'll just let it slide for now. But when you're dapping each other, I'm just like, it's not giving romantic, it's giving friendship. So stop it, guys. I don't want it.
Wait. I have a question. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Which is better, forehead kiss or fist bump?
Forehead kiss. I am not with Paz, and it's not because she's on my bad side, but I'm not with Paz on the forehead kisses, because I know she said she gives it to her son, but there are some forehead kisses that can be intimate that you only get from like your romantic partner. But dapping, nothing about that is a fist bump. And nothing about that is, it shows partnership, yeah, but for people that just met and you're trying to build that, chemistry and all that, it's too soon to be dapping, okay? So I'll take forehead kisses.
I agree. I agree.
So I don't know how the cameraman got in there, but there's no way I could have been Belle Jolie, but they were in there. They were all up in that toilet. He was not wearing a mask. I don't understand the whole thing, but he got it done. But for me, this scene was a little too long for me. And the whole time he had his Power Beats headphones in. you know I mean, shout out to him. Everyone usually wears the AirPods. I can't. They don't stay on my ears. I use Power Beats because I need the hook like a little dork. But the fact that he had both in the entire time when he's talking to Belle Jolie, I'm like, what are you doing, Mecca? You know?
How has he not dropped him in the toilet by then?
Well, that'll be it. That'll be it. Maybe that's why he got the ones with the hook, so they don't fall out and they're just hooked up behind his ears.
Oh,
In
there you
confessionals,
go.
he does confirm that they did have sex, and he hopes that that moves them forward. But as I'm watching him, you guys know I always get sidetracked. I'm looking at him in the confessionals, and I'm like, how long after their scenes were filmed did they film the confessionals? Because he still has the black nail polish on his hands, and I'm like, it's not a refresh; it's old nail polish. So I'm convinced that it's the same one that he had during their scenes, and also, his braids are due for a refresh. Like, they look so rough. And I'm like, go get it done again. So I don't know how long after it is. Maybe afterwards I'll find out. But those are the thoughts I had as I was watching this confessional.
Oh, good observation. Yeah.
So the producer asks, like, does he have serious feelings for her now? And he's like, what does that mean? Like, serious feelings sounds like you're close to falling in love, and that's kind of scary. So he's not going to say that. He's just going to say that he has really strong feelings. So they go visit his grandma, and I thought it was a house, but it's not. It's just the office because, first of all, her name is Victoria. Thank God. Like, it's not another, because they have a history of, I think Belgelie's mom is violent, and then his dad is Logic. So hers is just a simple Victoria name. So I was alarmed that did they go to this sweet old lady's house just after cleaning poop? No showers, no nothing, just going in there, hugging her. But I guess it was just the office. So still though, there are poop particles in your body. Like, go home and shower first before visiting anyone. But again,
I could never.
so his grandma asked Belle Jolie, like, the hopes is that, Mecca would take over the business. Would she be willing to be part of the business if he does? And she says that she is. She has front desk experience and it won't be so strange for her. She also shares that they're the only Black owned sanitation business in the Pacific Northwest and is very lucrative. I'm like, ka-ching, but also a shout out to them for that. So they would love to pass it down to one of their kids. And she's just happy that they're doing well together as a couple. Did you think anything of this scene with his grandma?
Nothing particular. Like just kind of what I was saying up top about I think it's the idea that he has a business like that. It's good to have that foundation. I mean, I think I would feel more secure as long as I don't have to be up in the poop.
Well, they've assured Belle Jolie that she will be front desk. So I think she's done
She's
her
safe.
part in securing that.
She should
We
require showers before entering, though.
I know. They should have like a built-in shower on there. Okay, we get a little bit of Marissa and Adam as well. This attention-seeking man, is wearing a thrifted shirt in his own home, by the way, that still has the tag on it. I mean, I zoomed on it to see if I could scan whatever the code was on there. I couldn't, but it has the Goodwill. It clearly said Goodwill on there. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, what is the purpose of all this attention seeking with your wife in your home? And Marissa says that she loves that he is himself and she needs to take a page out of his book. And she asked if he thinks that group therapy will benefit anybody. And I'm like, that's an interesting question to ask. Like, why do you not think you guys don't stand to benefit it? Like, why don't you ask, do you think we will benefit from it? Why the group? Why anybody else? I didn't get that.
Yeah, I just feel like they're very resistant to going deep in anything.
She doesn't want to rock the boat, and
Right.
he's just fine. He does just want to go deep because I can't tell where he is. Like I said in earlier episodes, I'm back and forth with them. Like, maybe that is just their vibe, not to steal his words, and eventually they'll go deep, or maybe he's like, this is temporary, so I don't need to go deep. And she's playing along because she can get what she needs out of him right now, but you know, it doesn't have to be that serious. But who knows? We'll find out with time. He says he's never done group therapy, so he's curious, but he has done years of individual therapy. And she asks if he's going to take group therapy seriously. And he says, of course, I have taken everything extremely seriously this entire process, he says, as he wears a thrifted shirt with the tag on it. So the man says like he's going to be open and honest and he's actually going to have counter questions for Paul. If you notice, he did not say I'm going to have questions for Paz. He said Paul specifically. I don't take with that what you will,
Mm.
but he says he's going to go full send. And I'm like, why is this grown man talking in slang? It's so hard to take him seriously. But it's also, is this Adam and we're trying to make him into somebody that he's not? Or is this all an act? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I got both with him and Nick. I feel like they know what to say, and I don't know what to believe.
You think Adam knows what to say? I feel like he just
Well,
says whatever is in his head.
okay. Well, I think he's very conscious of being on a show and wanting to look good, but
Oh,
I don't know if
interesting.
it's coming across well. But
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I never thought about it. I
yeah,
still don't really know what to make of Adam. Like that's why I'm like on one hand, is this just him? And because we're not used
yeah,
to someone like him, we're just like, you can't be serious, dude. But I'm like, a guy who's in love with jet skis, who has a disco ball and just talks about the water and is like, he lives on the water and just wants to play pickleball all the time, wears swim socks.
yeah. No,
All right, I'm going to take a quick break and I will be right back.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
All right, we are back. And here is the group session. So, for you guys, the Australian version, like lately, like when they're doing their first, I kind of tell you guys what similarities or differences it has with the Married at First Sight Australian version. So, in this version, in MAFS Australia, this is when they have the commitment ceremony, and this is when they choose to decide if they want to stay or if they want to leave. But it looks like for this version, it's just a group session. They do the group session. Each couple comes up, they have their session, they talk about all the things that happen, and then at the end they say if they want to stay or if they want to leave. But it looks like, I was wondering if they were going to do that since it's so many couples, but it looks like that part is not being brought over, and the closest is just them asking, if this was decision day, would you say yes or would you say no? So I think I'm okay with that. So, would you prefer if they gave them the choice if they wanted to continue to experiment or not? Like if they were given the choice, like they could quit right now if they wanted to.
um, I kind of like them just saying where they're at now because the discussions that follow, they're kind of
Mhm.
talking about each other and comparing, which again is not good for the relationship, but it's
Mhm.
kind of fun to see them squirm. I don't really want anybody to actually quit at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And I think like they run the risk of people just saying like, yeah, I don't want to do this. And then I also think it's like infectious. You see one person leave and you're like, "Oh my god, I could be free from all this anxiety." And then it becomes a trickle down effect and then everyone decides they want to leave and then we don't have a show. So, I understand them keeping it this way. Okay. Believe it or not, guys, Adam shows up in that shirt, still with the tag on, with the shirt unbuttoned. The drawstrings on his pants were untied, and he just came in looking like he didn't know that this was going to be a group session. Like, what are we doing here? At the very least, take off the tag. When he gets in, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to button up. I'm going to take this serious," because Paul and Paz give him this look like, "I know you fucking lying. I know you did not come in here with your shirt unbuttoned and all that." Did you have any thoughts on that?
I just love how Paul just calls people out. Like he does not beat around the bush at all.
Yeah, he takes control of the scenarios most of the time. So when he just commands respect, like even if he didn't say anything, I think Adam would have known like he had to take off his shirt, button up his shirt. Like, what are you doing? Courtney comes in with Nick and makes a big
Yeah.
deal of holding hands. And she's like, she's trying so hard to not fail this marriage and not self sabotage. Caitlin says that she's nervous. And Paul welcomes them and introduces them and says that this is a truth telling session and this is where the hard work starts. He says he's looking across the room and he sees couples in avoidance, denial, and fear that they may not have talked about, which is the quickest way to destroy their relationships. Paz invites everyone to be open and honest, and they should basically be courageous. Then they decide to start with Marissa and Adam. And I can't imagine how scared they are, like to go first. I mean, there's an advantage of going first or going last because if you're first, you get it over and done with. But then if you're not, you just have to keep waiting till it's your turn and you're just sitting there in anxiety. If you were there in the group therapy, would you prefer to go first and get it over and done with or kind of wait a little bit?
Oh no, I'd want to see the other couples. I'd want to know what I'm in for and, have a little bit of reference point.
For that. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I'm just be in the middle of the pack and I'm like, okay, I kind of know what to do and just get that over and done with. So Paul says he wants to start with the outfit and how it was unbuttoned when he came in. And Adam says, oh man, it was really hot. I was climbing the walls out there. And Paul just stops him and says, yeah, that's the stuff we're not going to do tonight. And I think everyone was rocked. Like, oh, this is serious because Nikki is all clock it. Felipe is all ooh. Devin is trying to see Adam's facial expression, and I think they all got the message that this is serious. Like this is not no Dr. Pepper. This is not old school anymore. Like we are being called to task in this group session.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not
Um,
running the show.
so Paul says that he sees a guy who came into the show serious. I don't know what Paul saw. He didn't come in serious. You made him have a phone call to break up with someone. So what seriousness are we talking about? But he said as they went along, he's become more of a deflector. And I'm like, Paul ain't playing tonight. He says he wants him to tell him where he's wrong. That's Adam. And it he tells him that he comes in like the humor and his attire and that's someone that's deflecting from vulnerability. Adam says like I don't think I'm deflecting. Like honestly, this is who I am. At first, that person, that wasn't me. This is who I am now. Paul says, well, you have 4 weeks to decide and you need to be deep in conversation. And he asked both of them, when was the last time you had a deep conversation? And Marissa's like, we don't really get super deep. And they ask, have you told him about your dad? And she's like, not really. And Paul says, okay, here's what I see. You have a strong physical, lightweight, emotional connection. So that means like you don't have a strong connection yet. And Paz is like, this is a good opportunity for you guys to tell each other something that you don't know about the other, and you have to be real and void of humor. And Marissa shares about her dad and talks about how he wasn't a good dad, that her parents were married for a long time, but they did it for the kids. And he struggled with mental health issues, and now they don't have a good relationship. What do you think of this whole process of I don't is it like on demand confession or on demand sharing where it's like tell him something now in front of everyone? Like is it necessary because otherwise they wouldn't?
I feel like it's just a requirement for these shows in general. You have to have a sob story. I don't know when they're going to make you pull that card out, but
Mhm.
you have to have something you're willing to share. And sometimes they're ridiculous and sometimes they're the real thing that
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know how I feel about it. I get that we need that, but it can
Yeah.
also trivialize things a little bit.
Yeah. I can't quite place my hand on place a finger, I said my whole hand. Place a finger on what it is that is kind of off about it because you're right. As long as you're on these shows, you've already told the producers what they are. We already know what they are. They told us during their matchmaking process. It's just knowing when the producers or whoever want you to say it. But I think when we're doing group therapy and it's like, am I ready to share this with this person? Because at the end of the day, Yes, it's going to bring them closer, but it is my story. It is my thing that causes me pain. Telling someone, go ahead, say something. I know they're giving them a choice. Like, go ahead, say something now. It just feels like pressure, you know, like a lot. And
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why it feels a little off there. But again, without that, again, we don't have a show. So Adam says that his is he was cheated on two of his relationships and he decided to stay in it and it fucked him up, but therapy helped. And they're still talking about Marissa, how she feels about talking about it. She was like, yeah, she feels, a little weird, but she feels a little lighter. Then she's glad that, she said it. And then Adam makes a joke about to Paul and it's like, you gonna make my girl cry, bro? And Paul says, you see what you did right there? She was emotional and you went for a joke. And he's like, I mean, I was just trying to support her. And Paul is like, I understand your intent, but you could also say, I'm with you. And his homework is like he needs to build the healthy habits. And again, this is again where I'm torn, where it's like, I get it that he shouldn't make a joke, but it's what he's always done, right? And it's not necessarily like a bad thing. So where is the line between building the healthy habits and changing completely who you are? If at all, this is who Adam is.
Yeah, I don't think he's comfortable going deep. I think that, that's his quick cover up escape. And like you were saying, is group therapy really the place to make him sit in it?
Well, I guess they're all doing uncomfortable things. So Lisa, the therapist Paz, is just looking at Paul with admiration. At this point, I know the rest of the cast were terrified for their turn. At least Caitlin, she looked very terrified. Like, what are they gonna say to me? In a confessional, because they do this little confessionals with different couples afterwards. They asked Cameron and Michelle, like, do they think Adam opened up at the therapy session? And Cameron was like, yeah, I think he opened up a little bit. And Michelle is like, really? When? So there's that. Okay. So speaking of, we move on to Cameron and Michelle. They say things are good. Marissa says like she loves them together and wishes this isn't a confessional, not in the group therapy, because God forbid Marissa speaks up about anything. But she says she loves them together and wishes Adam had the maturity and awareness that Cam has. So she does recognize that something is missing. And this is to me confirmation that she wants more and she's not asking for more.
Yeah, that was super interesting because, like you said, I think Adam's not become the villain because she's been willing to go along with it. And she
Mhm.
hasn't been, the typical bride we get that's like begging the husband to do more. But
Mhm.
this is the first time she's really told us that she wants more.
Yeah, and I need her to speed it up and ask for something because I do want to see how Adam is going to act when she brings up something that is not in his favor. Because even talking about moving into the house, he pretty much told her, you're moving in here and then we're going to buy a house. He didn't ask her after she said, like, she doesn't think she can live here. She's a city person. He basically told her what she's going to do. So, how is he going to react when she stands up to him for something that he's not on board with? I want to see that. So,
And let us not forget before wedding days when they said, what if she's not into the training? And he said, oh, I can train anyone, not what if she doesn't want to do it at all?
hmm opposition. He needs opposition. She brings up the finance conversation that they had, that's Cameron and Michelle, where, they talked it through and she makes more money than him. And he says, like, he's thought about it, like it's just the typical society expectations that he is proud that she makes, that much. Michelle, on the other hand, says that she was equating money with success, but he works hard and she has been brought back down to earth. And I'm curious your thoughts on this because I understand this, it works for them, but is this a case of her putting on the back burner what her thoughts were? Like, is it such a bad thing that she wanted her husband to make a certain amount of money because of how much she makes? Like, she's saying it like, oh, he's shown her a different side. Like, that's not important to me anymore. I need to throw that away. Like, her choice of words saying, I've been brought back down to earth. I'm like, why are they making it seem like that was such a terrible thing that she wanted on her list? if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I wonder how much it really matters to her because
Hmm.
has she seen past shows where a woman with higher standards is kind of villainized for wanting the
Yeah.
husband to meet them, you know, and
Hmm.
she's not gonna, so she's gonna blow it off on the show, but will it actually matter long term or in
Yeah.
real life?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like you're making her feel like, no, you're silly for that being a requirement for you. Like you're down to earth, you've blown it away. No one's saying like it's not taking away from him that that he works hard. Like yes, he does work hard, but it was something that was important to you. So all of a sudden, is it not, or is it a case of she likes what she sees of Cameron and she's willing to overlook it? I think if it was phrased that way, like it's still important to me, but he brings other things to the table that I appreciate. So it works. There's a pros and cons to this, but for her to just say, "Oh, my thoughts was silly, and I brought back down to earth," that was the part that was like, it's not necessarily bad.
Yeah, and
So
they also need to kind of look at what their life will look like because it's more than just I make more than you. It's also this is my standard of life. Like she
hmm
can't have him, you know, like we've seen in other couples in the past where she's spending money that she has on things and he's making her feel like she's wasting it and things like
yeah,
that, things that are normal to her that might be extravagant to somebody who doesn't
yeah,
make that much.
exactly. Yeah, good point. They say that the hard conversation brought them closer, and Paul says, "What happens when you have these hard conversations? The harder it is, the closer you get." And then they were like, "One more thing, should we tell them? Should we tell them?" And he's like, "We had sex." I'm like, "Okay, thanks for sharing." But that was it for Cameron and Michelle. Any last thoughts for them?
No, that about covers it with them. Oh yeah, I guess just that, I know that they were, clearly there are star couple, and a lot of people think they're boring, myself included. But I do think we need that reprieve. We can't have everybody being a disaster, or it just gets
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I had Camille 2 episodes ago, and she was like, coming from someone who was the boring couple. And I
I
was
love
like,
Camille.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I feel there's just gonna be like a surprise coming. Like for now, they are the star couple. And Cameron, like I think I noticed that even Cameron is surprised at how much he likes Michelle. So I think he does like her. They do have a lot of things to figure out though, because his job seems like it could be a surprise, like a roller coaster. But it seems like he's willing. He's like, it doesn't have to be Portland. I don't know what they're doing, but I just feel like how many more episodes do we have? Like something is gonna come up that's gonna be like a thing, and you're like, "What? You guys were doing so well. Where did this come from?" But
I'm gonna
hopefully,
eat my words.
no, but hopefully, I do hope they make it through. Like for the most part, that's what I hope. For most of the couples is like they make it through. I just feel like when you go through something like this, where you're exposing yourself to the world, where you've gone through so much to go through the application process and all of that things, the least you can get out of it is your actual true love that you really wanted. And if it does come out that way, it's just such a nice story, to tell. So I'm hoping I'm wrong. Let's put it that way.
I think you're probably right that something's gonna happen, but hopefully I'm right that they'll still work out after it all.
Yes. Okay. All right. Take a quick break and I'll be right back. All right. We are back with Courtney and Nick. Before I get into them, I want to do a little social media updates for you guys with Courtney. I went to her page and I just clicked on it. She has pinned her whole Instagram page, guys, reads like an influencer. Like it just has she's not addressing any of the criticism. Like there are people, all up in her comments saying all the things that she is not, she is Ray Charles, so all of that. She's not seeing anything of that. But she has fits. She's that are linked. You can find it in her bio. She's attending Morgan Wallen concerts. She has like this thing where it's like the 5 things to spend money on. Her 5, just for fun, guys, is real gold jewelry, smartwatch, High Rocks races, TSA pre-check, and a digital camera. Those are her 5 things. Um, she does say the thing that I found really interesting is that she says she splits her time between Austin and her hometown in Oregon. And for a quick second, I'm like, did she and Nick work out?
I mean, sounds like they have similar goals.
I mean, he lives in Austin. That was my whole thing why I wasn't taking them seriously, was that he lives in Austin and she's down here in Seattle, but apparently she's not even in Seattle. But also when she said she's in Oregon, that was the whole thing last episode where she said she wants to move closer to her family. So I'm very confused as to what this is. Like, did they purposely pick her because she's in Austin too? Because they're both not talking about living in Austin. So this is the thing that I wanted to share with you guys, because that was a discovery for me. Maybe other people already knew, but now my brain is going five miles a minute. Like, did they work out and she moved to Austin, or she's always been in Austin and that's why they paired them together, so location would not be an issue. So Paz says that she's a tough little cookie packaged in this little package, but at the dinner party she was blocking and rejecting Nick. She says she starts like, there's an instant spark and she knows that feeling. And I'm like, I thought you said you've never had that feeling before and you go slow with all the guys. So which is it, Courtney? Because with Courtney, you never know, what she's saying or not. And then the tears come and then now she's crying. And I'm like, Courtney, why are you crying? Like, I have a hard time with Courtney, so I don't know. Like, where do you stand when it comes to Courtney?
I mean, at this point, I mean, what you said about her social media is interesting because that sounds like she and Nick would be great together. They both kind of want that type of career and can. But from what I've seen on the show, I feel like Courtney desperately wants to be able to break up with Nick and still come out looking good. Like, I think she wanted her family to give her a red flag. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that the real source of the breakdown is she's like, I can't do this, but I can't be the bad person in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't know
That
why. I mean, she can say that. I just don't understand why she's mean about it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and did you catch, I don't know if it was this episode where she said something about how like she has trouble opening up, but that's like she's been like overly open?
Yeah, yeah, it was last episode. I think I
Okay.
mentioned that too, where she said she has trouble, she'd rather the other person, she'd rather be the one that suffers for it or something. And I'm like, you have not had any issue talking and
Yeah.
saying all the things that you feel. So that's what I mean by she's a contradiction. She just said that she knows what an instant spark is like and she's had that in the past. But from my recollection, she said that she's not had that before.
Yeah.
So what are we saying? So she talks about being safe and she needs time for her to feel safe. And I'm about to be a broken record, guys, but if you need time to feel safe, don't sign up for MAFS, please. Like, don't do it. Like, if you know that's what you require to be in a healthy relationship, even if that's the pace that you want to go, that you go at, that's fine. I don't think it's fair to the other person who signed up for a 6-week show and you need time. How much time are we talking? Because you don't have time on a show like this?
Yeah.
So Paz asked her about her past, like where safety and intimacy hand in hand, and she says she hasn't had the best experiences in her past sexual experiences, and she likes to be flirty, but she likes it to be at the friend level. So she likes to flirt on a friendly level where it can stay at the door, but she signed up for a show called Married at First Sight where the person is going to be your husband and not a friend. Make it make sense. I don't
Yeah.
get it.
Her and Caitlin both. It's like the things they want are not unreasonable, but why are you on Married at First Sight of all shows?
Of all the shows. So, Paz asks if she knows how to receive someone genuinely being into her, and she's like, I don't know. Paz, you should have asked that question before you matched her, actually. That's on you. So she says, she and Nick talk a lot, but they don't talk deeper, and that's why she doesn't feel safe and comfort as quickly. And I'm like, do you initiate these conversations and he doesn't participate, or are we just blaming Nick for everything? Like, even the things that you're not doing, it's Nick's fault that you're not doing it because he's not doing. I don't know. Adam chimes in that Nick is a good guy and she just needs to put the walls down. And Paz is like, hey, Nick, you're sitting here. Like, we're just talking about Courtney. But for you, what are your fears? What are your pain points? Like, honestly, I don't know much about you because you show up shiny and polished, which is true. But I think is a wild take to say when you're the one who matched him to get married. Like, you should know him enough to match him. So for you to say, I don't know much about you, that's a wild take to admit in front of everyone as a matchmaker.
Yeah, they're basically admitting what I believed all along, that they just recruit people and liked his exterior.
Hmm. I mean, I think Nick mentioned that he was recruited. So literally
Yeah.
he was. Um,
Yep.
he, they ask him, okay, she asked him, what are your fears? What are your pain points? And much like when they asked him, like, what are some beliefs that you have as a conservative? He's like, I don't know. Like, I haven't really thought about this. I don't know what it is. I can't think of anything. Passes like I call bullshit on that. He continues to say that. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. Like, it's either you're lying or you're really not thinking about anything, which means like you're not putting any effort at all into the relationship. And Paul tells him to look at Courtney and tell her something of high importance to him. And he says it again. I need to think about it. And I'm like, ugh, can we move on? I'm over this. Like, vote this two couple, like two of them, vote them off the island. I'm sick of them. So he's still struggling, but he ends by saying like he has a fear of being judged for his awkward, goofy self, so he becomes reserved. Michelle chimes in like, "Well, you have awkward, goofy friends who I love." And everyone's like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "Oh, we have friends. We share friends. We have mutual friends together." And Paz is like, "Great. Do you have anything you want to out about Nick?" And I truly, truly was expecting her to say something. I think it would have been a great chance for her to have said something. um, Courtney says that what she feels is the uptightness of him, and she loves him being silly, and she just worries that they are surface. I think I want to say that Camille is who said that, the thing about reality TV, we're all up on Courtney, but maybe Courtney can feel his blankness, for lack of a better word, and that's what she's reacting to, and that's what is not making her feel safe. Do you think?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's hard because Courtney does bother me so much, but then again, Nick bugs me too. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoy Nick on TV, but I could
Yeah.
never have a relationship with someone who I feel like is putting on an act, and I can see how that could lead to a lot of insecurity.
Yeah, I think with Nick, it's more of a chicken or the egg. Is he acting this way because of Courtney? If he was paired with someone else, say a Marissa, would he still be this way? Or is this just Nick? Him just being very conscious of being on TV and just putting his best foot forward. We'll never know. Maybe we'll know because Kevin Frazier asked all the questions. Maybe he'll ask at the reunion. We'll see.
Yeah, but he needs to think about his answer to make sure it's the right one.
That's true. That is true. So she says she doesn't feel like she knows him and it feels very platonic. And Paul says they need to try harder. And Felipe asked them, like, have they ever talked about why past relationships failed? And Courtney was like, I can answer that. So if she can answer that question for Nick, does that mean they're actually having conversations then? Because she does answer by saying that Nick has 5 boxes that he has for the person that he wants to end up with. And for him, he's like, the boxes get ticked, but no one ever reaches the 6 box. First of all, I'm like, okay, if there are 5, that means if no one reaches the 6 box, that means there's 6 boxes, and then they never get to the 6. Don't say there are 5 and then say no one reaches the 6, because unless it's just a metaphor for impossible standards. So I'm telling people there are 5, but I want them to get to 6. But this is me just overthinking it.
The
That's what I
math ain't
do.
mathing.
It ain't mathing. But she still feels like that's a polished answer, and Paul agrees with her. And I'm going to round up this couple by saying that Nick is lucky he was paired with Courtney, because Courtney is so much of a mess that it's easy for him to hide behind. And, good on Paz for all me being hard on her, good on Paz for calling him out and saying, like, you're just hiding behind the shadow of, like, she didn't say that, but that's my interpretation. Hiding behind the shadows of Courtney. But who are you? What are you about? What do you want? For you to say you don't have a pain point, for this man to tell people at the dinner party that their communication is so great, they're doing so well, like, are you here? Are you even in the relationship? So there's something there. He just needs to be honest, which is what they told him at the group therapy, is be honest. And he's not being honest, but we don't know if it's because he's not into Courtney or if that's just him being cautious because he's been burned by TV before.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been saying, I think probably to you, that Nick really hit the jackpot with Courtney, because if his goal, which he seems very focused on, the reality TV star of it all, he can break up and still come out on top, because
Yeah.
she'll be the one that looks bad. And then he doesn't have to be married, but he can go on to the next show.
Yeah. And then even if he's the bad guy, the way reality show works now, there's a show for that. You could be on House of Villains, you know?
True.
So
Villains are getting the best offer, even traders and things. I mean, they want more
that's true.
villains than anything else.
That is so true. Maybe this is his audition for traders. Oh, I wonder if he wrote that in his contract. He's like, I'll do it, but if you can guarantee that I'll be on traders. Guys, if he's on the next season or the season after, you heard it here first. Okay. All right, let's move on to Tori and Felipe. Felipe says that on paper, they're good together, and he felt that he had committed, but didn't realize that he had to commit every single day. Let me say that again, just in case you didn't hear me. He felt that he had committed, but didn't realize that he had to commit every single day. The fuck?
Oh my goodness. What happened to changing and committing and all the things?
I just all I want Kevin's first question to be at the reunion is, what show did you guys think you were signing up for? Did you guys think it was like Love Island or something? Cuz everyone is acting brand new and it's pissing me off, you know? He says like he's in a relationship where nothing is wrong, but he keeps looking for something to be wrong, and he didn't realize how avoidant he is, and worried about the passion going. And here comes the therapy speak again, like ugh, stop diagnosing yourself, like face what you're supposed to face and stop coming up with things for yourself. So Paz mentions that people like to think like no butterflies falsely represents that your relationship is done, but what happens when you plateau in your relationship? And he says like that's what he's done the last 4 years. And I don't know. I thought that was insensitive. I just thought it was insensitive for him to say that so blatantly in front of Tori. Like, yes, it's group therapy. Yes, you're saying things, but this is a person that you've only known like a week, little over a week. Don't just say things matter of fact, because she's also trying to decipher how she feels. And her body has already told her something. Like, we're not going to ignore that flight feeling that she had after they had sex. It happened for a reason.
Yeah. And yeah, and she's already like, she's on guard when he mentioned the cheating thing, and this is not
Mm-hmm.
going to help her, that feeling in the back of her mind. Is he for
Yeah.
real?
Yeah. They ask Tori how she feels hearing what he's saying, and he's like, "Yeah, that it is scary." At first, she couldn't even speak. You could see her just trying to contain her emotions because she's one who likes to repress her emotions. She just nods and says, "Like, yeah, it is scary." Um, when I say it was insensitive, I think what he said, just to expand on that, is like for the last 4 years, that's what he's done. He's gone into a relationship, the passion leaves, there's no more butterflies, he just runs and then he runs. And I'm like, that is not what your new wife wants to hear about her husband. Devin in the confessional says he relates to Tori because Caitlyn is the Felipe here, and Caitlyn signed up for it to be one way, and when she's challenged to open up and be vulnerable, it becomes an oh shit moment. I don't necessarily think that is Felipe's problem. The man is an open book. The man just wants to sleep around. That's a whole different situation with
Yeah.
Caitlyn.
Yeah, I see two very different issues with them.
Yeah. Paz is like, yeah, if I were you, Tori, it would scare the shit out of me. Are we ever going to get used to the experts cussing? Because I'm not.
She's trying to be cool. It's not going over well.
She really is. I need her to settle in and just realize you are on TV, you are the expert. Like, don't be so happy to be here. Um, Tori says she understands how he feels because she's an avoidance. So Paul says that, no, Paul tells Felipe that he thrives under uncertainty, and he's telling himself that if things are certain, then he's going to be so bored. So he's challenging him to reframe his way of thinking. He's like, become incredibly curious and it will never end. That's the passion. It will only end when you stop being curious. Throw away passion and replace it with curiosity. Beljolie is so wowed by this that she's like, wow. Like, if you guys watch the show, you know how Paul talks, and it's almost like being under a trance. Like, He just commands the room the way that he speaks. And everyone just went silent when he was making this speech. And I was like, wow, Paul, you're really earning your paycheck on this one, you know?
I like Paul. I like how he's just upfront with it all.
Yeah. So I thought they weren't going to talk about it because I was going to be like, are we not going to talk about her flight? But Paul, brings it up. And she says that, she panicked. And her panic was more like, is this the person that he's showing me? Is this really him? Or is this a facade? And they asked, why couldn't she talk to him about it? And she's like, she's just independent. She just never talks to people when she's in a pickle or something like that. She just keeps it to herself. So Paul says, in moments like this, now is the time to test your partner. I mean, I guess an interesting choice of words because usually testing your partner is not the right thing to do. But I think I understand what he was saying was just figure out, as I think because the scenario is not the norm, but just figure out where they stand and how it is. And then when you do this with your partner, he said, see if you feel safer or not. And if you feel safer, then you know this. And if you don't, then pause. So Paz asked if they've had additional intimate moments after that, which I thought was a good question because I was curious about it. I was like, did you just have sex one time and that was it? But where she didn't flee, and they say yes. So they are having sex and she's not fleeing. And Felipe is like, oh, it was great for me. So there goes my theory because my theory was that I thought maybe the sex wasn't great for him. And now he's just wondering, like, this isn't as good as other women that I've had. I don't know if I can sustain this for a while, but he said it was great. So good for them. Felipe and Tori. So, what do you think about them? Where do you think they're headed? How do you think this is all going to play out?
I am kind of torn because I have actually had my guard up as much as Felipe has won everybody over. I feel like he's had rose colored glasses and he's caught up in the love and the bubble. And I think we're starting to see those come off. He's, maybe never been with one person for this long. And I'm actually encouraged that he's acknowledging that. But is the best place to work. Like maybe this should have been a one-on-one session with Paul, not in front of Tori and everybody else.
Hmm.
And I think the real test is coming up. See what he does about it. Is he actually going to make the changes, or are they going to go back to the real life and everything's going to fall apart? Which I hope not, because poor Tori.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see if he's going to keep whining about the passion because at that point he's going to get old real quick if he
Oh
keeps
yeah,
talking about that. So,
it has to be more than that.
yeah. Okay, we move on to Mecca and Beljolie, and Paz jumps in on if they did the homework, if they went beyond, the forehead kisses. And Mecca was like, yeah, we skipped the entire homework in exchange for going all the way for it. So, for those of you who watch Love Island, every season they have different terminologies or words that they use when they have sex or they have any kind of sexual contact. Like, I think this season was like French fries, or in the UK, there are many other words that they use to go to the salon or go get fast food or something like that. So for this group, it looks like when you have sex, the word is vibed or they're vibing. And I'm like, did you get this from Adam? But okay, let's go with that. So I think Devin was like, yeah, they were vibing. So they ask Belgerly, is she feeling connected and more desires? And she's like, oh, just a point of correction. I never did not feel desired. I always felt desired. And Paz is like, really? And I'm like, what? Why? Why are you challenging her? Like, he just needed them to make a move. But I think Paz is correct in being confused because I thought there was a whole attraction conversation and she was upset because she felt like maybe he wasn't into her as much as he was. So now she did the switch up and said that she didn't ever not feel desired. And I think I can't tell too, but I think Beljolie is the kind of person who's I'm a stick by my man, and she will never try to say anything that's the opposite or go against him like in public. And I can't tell if she genuinely just felt like she did feel desired or if she's just trying to not have Mecca being called out in this situation.
Yeah, I felt like we missed something because last I knew, they specifically said there was that disconnect with the attraction, which I
Yeah.
didn't even know if it was real or was just Mecca trying to protect himself. But
Yeah.
yeah, it felt like we missed something. Or like you said, maybe she's just gonna stick by him no matter what because they do seem they seem to be into each other. They're just he's not saying that.
Yeah, they seem to be into each other, but it's also like maybe their baggage is too much. But can they get through it together is the question. And that's what I don't know. I really, really hope they work it because I really like them together. I like the way, even though it's a thin line, I do like the way that she accepts him for who she is. And like she met his dad and isn't scared off by him and can make it work. But I also don't want her to suffer for it. Like if it becomes too much, she should always choose herself and walk away. Like shouldn't spend the rest of her days just reassuring him. But I like that she's willing to accept him, and I hope he leans into it and does the same for her, each
Yeah,
other.
I wonder if it will help his confidence because
Yeah.
again, I don't know that I believe that he's really not that much into her or that he's afraid to say it.
Yeah. So Paul says, like, this is a challenge with them. They have been matched, but they need to keep choosing each other. And he feels that Mecca has never chosen Belle. I'm not going to lie that I was a little taken aback by this because I know that it's very easy to get taken in by Paul's words, but I'm like, is this fact? That he's never chosen Belle. He was like, she knows that you have not officially chosen her yet. I think Belle Jolie is tearing up at this point, which makes me believe she agrees with Paul, but I don't know if I completely agree. Do you?
Was it just based on that one conversation? Again, I feel like we're missing something. Like, what's happened between? When are they choosing or not choosing?
Yes. Thank you. Like, cause I was like, okay, like maybe you have information that we don't, but to flat out just say this man has not officially chosen her, like I was a little lost. I don't know what that meant. So he says Mecca's challenge is dealing with someone who is very much into you. That I can agree with. That okay, she's into you, you don't know what to do with it, you feel like you're not deserving. That's a whole other story, but the whole not choosing her, I don't get it. So Paz says that they asked him if he feels deserving of love or if he is blocking it, and he's like, well, partially I feel like it. Like I see other people who are deserving of love, but I just don't see myself fitting into that script. He says it feels good to receive it, but he doesn't know if he's accepting. And Paz says, like, based on his, past experiences, like maybe he doesn't know how to feel super safe with a woman. At this point, Mecca is bouncing his feet, so you can tell, like, his anxiety is up. And then this is a part where I really felt like, should this be said in a group setting? Paz suddenly just comes on and was like, guys, I want to share something. When I told Mecca that he was matched, he said, oh, I feel like crying. I just can't believe that someone might love me forever. And that just felt so private to me that it's so vulnerable. And yes, it's on camera. I get it. But is this something you should reveal to the whole group? I
Yeah, that's pushing it.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And then Paz is like, oh, I'm gonna cry now. And I'm like, what? Like, Paz, get it together. Like, don't say that. And she says she told him, like, I will not let you do the thing of blocking. And now she feels like he's on the edging of sabotaging himself. Paul then brings up and says that they showed up different at the dinner than they did today, and that the dinner was performative. Belgely says, we talked about the dinner. It was authentic on my end, and I think it was for his. I don't know. Um, Mecca says, like, it maybe because of the social setting and the environment, it was exaggerated. And I'm like, this is how he was with his friends on the wedding day when he was talking about should I kiss or should I peck? Y'all saw that. What should I do? Mecca is just a tad extra. Have you met his dad? You know?
Yeah, this whole performative thing just completely threw me. I mean, if if we're ranking performative, they're like at the bottom of the list. They all were to some extent in a social setting, but
Yes.
I
Yeah.
I would have called them the most real of anybody.
Yeah, I like if he had gone with they were extra, yes, absolutely. But the whole performative when we had other people that were there, it kind of pissed me off. And that was not it because Michelle comes in and is like, "Oh, what you shared today was more real and authentic than at the dinner. Like you were saying things like you guys were put on this world to be put together. Then next thing is like you're not as attracted then, and then next thing you're all over each other. That she had whiplash, but today she respects it more and she thanks him for sharing. You guys, I was really pissed off by this. I know Michelle is the darling of the show or whatever it is called, but this really pissed me off because I don't know how I feel about this. I don't like when people think that the only time people are being real is when they're broken down or hurt or crying or whatever it is that you think it is. And I don't appreciate her comment about Mecca. Was he being extra? Yes. He could have been overcompensating because he felt awkward at the dinner or he was feeling nervous at the dinner, but it doesn't mean he wasn't being real. Part of his personality is that he's extra, maybe does the most, but I just didn't appreciate that. Like I don't know why she had to make that comment, especially given that later on when we're talking about when they're doing the debrief and she and Cameron are talking and then they're like, "Oh, Felipe and Tori are doing great. They're a great couple." They're a great couple. The man who doesn't want to commit and thinks that monogamy is like this four-letter word. I don't know. I was really pissed about this. What did you think?
Yes, you said it well. And I mean, of course, the vibe, as they like to say, is different at the dinner versus group counseling when they're being called out on things. I mean, he probably did feel a little bit more just goofy, happy, whatever. And now
Yeah.
he's uncomfortable,
Yeah.
vulnerable, whatever.
And there's there were phases like yes, they had the attraction conversation. Then he said, "Oh, maybe that was a stupid question." But time passed after that, and yes, he was like, "Oh, when I saw what she had in the backside, blah blah blah," and everyone was hyping him up. Yes, I'm not even arguing that he wasn't extra. I just the insinuation that he's not being himself, especially after hearing, you know, the whole talk and concentrating on him not, loving himself or being insecure. Now he has to be conscious about people thinking that he's not being real and he's putting up an act. And I don't know, I really felt for him in that moment. You could tell on his face too that he was just like, "Oh my god, like where did this come from?"
Yeah,
So in
he
a
was completely
oh, go ahead.
thrown. No, I
Go
just
ahead.
said
I'm
he was
sorry.
completely thrown, and so was I.
Yeah. And in the confessional, Mecca says like the comment hurt because he could have done less, yes, but Belgely is like, I don't know, it was genuine to me. And honestly, that's all matters. That's all that matters. If she thinks that they were being honest, even though at the back of my head, I'm like, is she doing that thing where she's just, I'm a back up my man, regardless of what it is? Or I hope she genuinely thinks that. So then Courtney comes in and is all like, "Do you love yourself to receive love?" And I'm like, "Anybody but you, please. Anybody. Shut up. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want you talking to him." And he's like, "Yes, I love myself and I'm doing that, every day." And Devin tells him that he sees him, he's not alone, and he has people who's going to be there with him. And Mecca's just like, it's just a mental barrier that, I'm working through. Belgely says like she could feel this, that she has had a traumatic upbringing that triggers anxiety and panic attacks. She knows it's going to trickle into the relationship, and that's why she feels like she understands him so much. And she just wants him to know that he's beyond deserving of love. And if nobody else is going to show it to him, she will. And Devin is not like, "That's it, yeah, boy, that's it." But yeah, I'm glad that Belle Jolie wasn't forced or felt like she had to go into detail about her traumatic upbringing and things like that. Because the way the group therapy was going, I'm like, please don't make her share anything or share it with him. Like that seems like a private thing that's going on with her.
Yeah, I wonder what the conversations are like behind the scenes of what they
Can or
more or less
can't
force
share.
them to share. Yeah, or what they could
Yeah.
say, look, I really don't want to talk about this.
Yeah. Then we get a confessional and we get Felipe yapping about Belgely is very ready for Mecca, but Mecca is not ready at all for Belgely. And now I'm really, really annoyed by everyone. I don't need peanut gallery commentary. I don't need Miss Conservative and Mr. Monogamy. Like, go fix your own shit. Like, go away. So like I said, my summary of these two is like I don't want be Belle Jolie to be a fixer for the entirety of their relationship. Like she can try and be there for him, and if it doesn't work and he doesn't love himself and it's not working, please save yourself and leave the relationship. But fingers crossed for them. Any
Yep, I
last
agree.
thoughts? Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Nikki and Sean. They talk about their homework and their ratings. They say they have done the ratings. The first time they did the rating, it was a 10, and the second was like a 9 point something, if you remember. On their one on ones, it was a 2 on her end and a 7.5 from him. They say they've been talking, they have a lot of commonalities, and the air has been clearer. And she can see her physical attraction growing. Nick is like, I'm so confused. How did you go from the dinner to 10 over 10? Like, I feel like I missed 10 chapters. And this is my problem with Nick. When you're with Courtney, you're not saying much. But then when it comes to commentary and the other couples, all of a sudden you have a voice and you can speak up, and then you're snarky on top of everything, because it's one thing to say, "Oh, guys, like how did you get here?" That's great. But for you to say, "Oh, from the dinner, I'm confused. I missed 10 chapters." That's some passive aggressive like talk right there.
Oh yeah, that's like none of your business.
Yeah. So he says, like, they started out, Sean is saying, like, listen, what happened is that we started out intense, but now we're taking the other route and now we're going light. And for everyone else, they started out all happy and now they're just getting too deep. So we're taking opposite routes. And then Paul said, and then he repeats what Paul told them, that when they were there, that the three roots of conflict was power and respect and something else. And he was not saying things for closeness. And he was basically trying to win and basically going like, you respect me as a man. But now that he's conscious of all three, he's conscious of it when he speaks to Nikki, and it has changed the tone of the conversation. Nick, again, in a confessional, is like, they're presenting it like, oh my God, they took a step on the moon instead of like, oh, they took one step. I'm like, Nick, what do you care? Like, stop. I don't like the snarky things. Like, as much as we've had commentary from other couples in the past, it's never been like this competitive. I think he's forgetting what show he's on. You don't win a prize, you don't win money, you don't win anything here. So if people are taking strides, take it for what it is. Even if you don't believe it, like his commentary just rubs me, his confessionals, it rubs me the wrong way when he talks about the other couples, especially when his
Yeah.
is burning down.
Well, he's doing the reality TV thing, right? They know they have to. I mean, like you said, maybe he doesn't know what show he's on, because on Bravo, the only way to keep your job is to start jumping into the drama, even if it's none of your business. That's what it feels like he's doing.
Yeah. So Nikki says that her tone didn't need to be that way, so she's conscious of it now. And when they ask Michelle and Cameron, they're like, Nikki and Sean's answers just seem contrived. Ordinarily, I would usually like agree with Nikki and Sean, like their answers seem rehearsed, but Michelle is on my bad side today, so I'm just not wanting to hear anything from her. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like, do you watch The Valley or
Yep.
Vanderpump Rules at all? Yeah, it was reminding me of, like Britney. Everyone just decided Britney's an angel. So regardless of what she does, she's like great. And I'm like, no, that's not the case. For you to be married to Jax, there is something in you and you are not an angel. So everyone has dimmed that Michelle is such an angel. And now everything she says holds weight. And she's just saying all the things against people I like. So she's on my bad side today.
Nuance, people.
Devin and Caitlin, I think were the final couple that went last. And I'm like, you guys, why did you do this to Caitlin? She can't wait that long. Paul just goes right in and asks Devin, like, do you feel, I think he asked him, like, do you feel like your light has been dimmed? He said,
Right
like,
out of the gate.
right out the gate, he didn't warm up, no lube, just went straight. And then he says, all the love bombing was too much for her and it was pushing her away. So he just took a step back so she can get what she needs right now. And that's what matters. They asked Caitlin, do you think his light has diminished? She goes, 100%. And Felipe says, like, he is so committed, he's willing to do anything. And Paul says, like, that's a fear that he has. Like, honestly, he might be the most committed of them all. And he is a brilliant partner, but he shouldn't have to lose himself in this. Caitlin says, like, he is fantastic and she likes that he's grounding, but usually she's flighty. And Paul says, well, that's not his job to ground you. Like, you have to do that for yourself. And she's like, well, 3 years ago, I was much worse and I like our energy right now. And I find that Caitlin does that a lot. Hey, Caitlin, Can you hold hands? Well, 3 years ago, I wouldn't even hold a finger. So better appreciate whatever I'm giving you now. Hey, Caitlin, do you think you could smile? Well, 3 years ago, I used to have a scowl on my face. So if I'm giving you a blank face right now, you should be appreciative of what you're getting. And I just think like she needs to live in the present, especially when you signed up for a show called Married at First Sight.
Yeah.
Paul Paul says love does not diminish you and you shouldn't have to shrink to fit. And Caitlyn is not budging, guys. She stands her ground and she says, I want him to feel grounded, but if our energy shifts, I don't know if I can handle that. But for right now, I kind of like what we have. I need that for me to be able to, like, function at this level. And I'm like, Caitlyn, it's not all about what you want. You know that, right? And I think to Devin's detriment, him saying like that's all that matters, he can't forget himself just to make her happy because it's not sustainable.
Yeah, it was like this whole conversation opened with he's having to, change himself, dim his light in order to be what she needs. As meanwhile, she likes to just go off and do her own thing anyways. So,
Yeah.
and then and they talk in this full circle and come right back here of like, well, I need someone to ground me. Okay, I'll be that for you. So, what do we get out of that?
Nothing. And that's what I've been saying is like I feel like we're all tiptoeing, everyone, and that's Devin, the experts, everyone around Caitlyn. And I'm like, what hold does she have on everyone? Like, what is happening here? Um, he said that they can have practices of why she's feeling that way. He'll try to do that. And he goes, will you try? She goes, yes. I'm like, I'm not sold. I don't. She knows that she has a man who's willing to do anything. So she's just going to take advantage of it. Why not? And just get through the 6 weeks. So as of now, I think she's going to say no, but who knows?
Not unless he just comes into her life and stays away from her.
And that is not what he wants for his future. All right. So Paz asked them what they will say if today was decision day, if they'll say yes, no, or undecided. Caitlin says undecided. I'm like, Caitlin, you a damn lie. You know it's no, but good for you for actually saying undecided and sparing Devin's feelings. Devin says undecided, that he needs her to be more open. Sean said undecided. Nikki said undecided. Cameron said yes. Michelle said yes. Nick said undecided. Courtney said undecided. Another lie. Beljolie said undecided. Mecca said undecided. Tori says yes. Felipe says yes. Marissa says yes. Adam says yes. Is there anyone in here that you think we're lying?
I mean, I think undecided was a way of saying not if it was right now, but I'll give it another chance. I'll ride the show out.
Yeah.
But
But do you think they were lying or that's how they really felt?
I think they want to stay on the show.
Oh.
But
I mean, they're not getting kicked out either
true,
way.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
regardless of what they say. So I mentioned the people that I thought were lying about their decisions, but I do think undecided is a kind way to instead of saying no blatantly, because I do think if you say no, it changes the dynamic of your relationship. So undecided, I'm glad they included the option of undecided.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess that's what I'm saying. I think if it were actually like you have to make the decision right now, they would probably be a no. I think
oh,
Caitlin,
okay.
they would be a no, but they are willing to, see what the next few weeks could change.
Oh, I get you. So like if undecided was not an option, their answer would be no.
Exactly. If you
So
had to choose right now, I think the
yes.
undecideds would be a no.
Yes. Okay. Got it. That makes sense. So Adam says, this is afterwards. They're all debriefing in different ways. Adam was like, oh, it was so attractive seeing his girl being open. You can have her open all the anytime you want. Just ask her questions. Caitlin says they're in a car with Devin and she's like, she wants a massage. He's like, I give good massages. He's like, no, I want a massage from a professional. He was like, I give pretty good professional massages. She's like, no, I want a massage from someone who is not interested in me. I'm like, God damn, this woman just is not trying, but what do I know? Nick is so focused on the people that said yes and has yet another confessional saying like, what are these people thinking? Like, how can they say yes? They just met these people. I don't believe them. They're not saying the truth. And I'm just like, Nick, use all this energy to talk to your wife Courtney the same way. Don't save it for and be a confessional person on there and start talking there. Mecca looks pissed and dejected when they get home, and he says it again and says like the fact that he comes from Michelle, who everyone respects and looks at like she's gonna say the truth and things like that, but for her to think that he was being performative, that really hurt him. Belgely says like, you know what, all the nitpicking kind of made me feel some type of way. And it's true, guys, because if we're talking performative, if no one had all of the energy for Adam, why are we doing all of this for Mecca? Like, I think that, I mean, again, it could be editing, but that's part of why I was annoyed. Like, we know Mecca is fighting his own battles or demons or anything. Maybe Adam is, but he's not telling us. So, how are we going to know? This man came in with a tag that he didn't take off. Why don't we have all that energy for him? Yeah, they asked him, but nobody piped in to say, oh, you're being all this. They knew that they were being all shallow and surface, but nobody felt the need to chime in. So I don't know. I can
Yeah.
understand him feeling hurt.
Yeah, like I said, they all were being performative to some extent, and he was no worse, and if anything, better. So, yeah, that whole thing just threw me.
Yeah. Yeah, she says the nitpicking is making me feel some type of way, but all I need from you is for you to be Mecca. And then he's like, that's why I like you. And then they kiss. I'm like, oh, thank God. They didn't bump fists or high five or something. They actually kiss each other. Michelle and Cameron are saying like, I he applauds them, and Cam says like, "Damn, you kind of called Mecca and Beljolie out," and she's like, "No, not really." And they were like, "Well, Tori and Felipe said yeses. They're a good couple." I'm like, "Okay," like you didn't hear him say all of the things that he said before that. He tells her that he'll miss her when he leaves, and then they talk about what works best for them when they're going to be apart. And that was the end of the episode. So, pretty entertaining episode and give us a look. I wonder, we only have about 3 more drops. So I wonder how many more group therapy sessions we are going to see. If it wasn't Lifetime, at least we know every week we'll get like some kind of group therapy. But now I don't know with the drops how many of those we're going to see, but at least one more, I believe we should see.
Yeah, probably one. Just like it's kind of like a check-in on everyone.
Yeah.
Like we had kind of mid-season. We'll have another one leading up to decision day, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. Okay. Who, before we round out, as always, who has your bouquet for the episode?
Might be a hot take, but I'm
Ah,
actually going to give mine to Felipe specifically this episode, even though I know he made a lot of people concerned. I am actually glad to see him acknowledge these things as the rose-colored glasses come off, and I want to see what he does with that.
that is a hot take. I was not expecting that at all.
I know, because I was talking to people who had the opposite.
Okay, but that's the beauty of it. I love when we have like, people come from behind, like just an unexpected bouquet. All right. Mine is going to the experts. Yes, including Paz. I know I'm hard on Paz, but I like to be objective. Like if they do something that's good, I will give it to them. We know that Paul is carrying the show for the experts, but she did ask some questions. She's still acting like a fan, but she did ask some questions. And together as a duo, I think they did really well with the experts. I can't really fault them too much on, making them talk about things because again, it's the nature of the show. It's a group therapy. I'm sure they mentioned that to them, but as experts, I think they asked like good questions, held them to the fire, and it was a good group therapy session. Is it okay? Okay. Who has your ashes?
I think maybe just the group as a whole. Probably. Well, for the way they came at Mecca really bothered me, and
Yeah.
I like again they like you said there were so many things they could have nitpicked on people that like I said I think Adam and Nick are particularly performative, and
Mhm.
they're just rolling with it aside from asking them to go deeper, and
Yeah.
then yeah to even like the here they are on a group therapy session and they're giving him a hard time about having his emotions change over time, and yeah,
Yeah.
we've talked about it a lot, but that just they all bothered me with that, the experts and the cast.
I think that's fair because, he wasn't the only one whose emotions, flip flopped and they just picked on him. So, yeah. My ashes are in the same vein. Again, I know she's the darling, but again, it was just Michelle. It was just what she said, going that extra mile. I mean, she had something to say about everyone. It wasn't necessarily bad. She piped in when it came to Nick. She piped in with that. She did say it about Adam, like, did he open up? But I was like, I don't want that feeling of maybe you feel like, oh, you're a top couple, so you can chime in anything. And I also understand there's also editing, but I just decided to change it up because Courtney has had my ashes for the last, I don't know, I think she has a trifecta at this point. But
Yep.
switching things up a bit, and I gave it to Michelle for that.
So if
Go
there's
ahead.
one way to make if there's one way to make a star become or give me the ick anyways, it's to have them think that they are just queen of everybody and above everybody. And she was giving that. So I don't disagree.
Yes. So I don't know if that was her intent. Probably is not, but it's my podcast. I can do what I want. So, well, you guys let me know who has your bouquet and ashes for the week. Danny, thank you so much for coming on and for talking maths with me.
Thank
You
you.
You are welcome. You guys know where to find me. It is Tane Talks across all social media. Please give me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you don't like what you heard, please tell your friends in the group chat and stay subscribed so you don't miss out on the next batch of episodes that are coming out next week. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Tane Talks.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.